Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 mod bundle, the show where we take a bunch of mods from a similar theme and throw them together in one nice list to give some good old mod recommendations to you guys. And today we're talking about classic Fallout SMG mods, by which I mean mods for SMGs that appeared in past Fallout games. In order to be on this list, they need to have actually appeared in a classic Fallout. So, we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Obviously, every single weapon in this list is going to be very lore friendly since it is from a past Fallout game. And every single mod in this video is available for not only PC, but Xbox as well. I think that's all of the basics. Let's go ahead and begin with the first mod, and that's going to be the 10mm SMG by Cypher. Now, the 10mm SMG has appeared in Fallout 1, 2, 3, New Vegas, and 76, but for whatever reason, it wasn't in Fallout 4, because Bethesda thought it was good enough just to make an automatic version of the 10mm pistol, but us Fallout fans know that that was not enough. But luckily, we do have an amazing mod by Cypher. I absolutely adore this rendition of the 10mm SMG. It's definitely my favorite one out right now. It has a ton of customization over at the weapons workbench, including some classic parts as well as some new ones. It does have leveled list integration, so you will be able to find this thing out in the world, and pretty early in fact, so this does make a nice early game weapon. And if all of that wasn't good enough, this thing even has custom animations, which is absolutely excellent. I have to say, it's just really satisfying to see this weapon back in the game and in the hands of my enemies and in the hands of myself, to be honest. This is one of my favorite weapons from classic Fallouts, and I'm so happy to have it back in Fallout 4 because for whatever reason it was just missing in the base game, which made no sense to me, but at least we have a mod for it now. So if you want to get your hands on a 10mm SMG, I'd highly recommend this one. Up next, we have the Grease Gun by Deadpool 2099. This is going to add a new 9mm SMG, known as the Grease Gun in Fallout 2 and the 9mm in Fallout New Vegas. This one is an absolute classic weapon, and a classic weapon from US history as well. Being a nice SMG used during World War II, this thing has a very classic aesthetic that's very fitting in the Fallout universe, and I just really like this thing a whole lot. Even if you didn't know all of the history for this weapon, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is a very Fallout weapon made out of pretty much scrap materials, as it was intended to be very cheap during World War II. It makes sense as a perfect Fallout weapon, and something that I think raiders could even recreate if they put their minds to it. Now, this weapon is by Deadpool, so you know it is of extreme quality, coming with some beautiful custom models and textures, some custom animations, of course, and obviously this thing also has a leveled list integration, so you will be able to find it out in the world on enemies and vendors as well. And of course, this thing comes with a bunch of attachments over at the weapons workbench too, so you really get a whole lot with this mod. Definitely some top quality stuff, and this adds a really nice alternative type of weapon. Now, by default, this mod does use 45 caliber, but if you want, you can download a patch to make it use the 9mm ammo from the 9mm pistol by Deadpool from the last mod bundle. So it's really up to you if you'd prefer a 45 or 9mm in your game, though just to keep it classic, and I'm a big New Vegas fan, I do prefer to run that 9mm patch, though it doesn't really make a difference. Compared to other SMGs as well, this one is a bit different in terms of gameplay, as it is very slow when it comes to fire rate, but it has a much higher damage. So if you want something like that and that sounds pretty neat, or you just want a vintage SMG in your game, I'd highly recommend this one as well, as I would for any weapon on this list. Now, for our next mod, we actually have a pretty recent release, and that is the 12.7mm SMG by Bwones. Of course, if we're going to be talking about classic SMGs, how could I not include this one, especially having just come out and it's fresh in everybody's memory? This is an absolutely amazing rendition of the 12.7mm. We did have a pretty defunct 12.7mm mod a while ago, but it hasn't received any updates nor custom animations or even really any attachments for that matter. Whereas this version by Bwones is absolutely incredible. Tons of attachments, and I mean tons. And every single one is absolutely unique and adds some really cool aesthetics to the weapon. It does have leveled list integration, of course, and a bunch of custom animations. A lot, like seriously a lot of custom animations. There's a bunch of different magazine styles that completely change the reload, and a bunch of foregrips and different ways that you can hold the weapon. Honestly, it's pretty insane how much stuff is in this mod. The 12.7mm only made an appearance in Fallout New Vegas, and it was a really goofy weapon, but personally, I just love goofy weapons, and I think that's why I love Fallout, and this one is absolutely incredible. And what's really interesting about this mod is it adds a few different approaches to the weapon. You can throw on attachments to make it look like the classic New Vegas style, or you could throw on some other stuff to add sort of a vector style magazine and some more modern attachments, or you can go the full lore friendly route, or you can even throw on some Raider parts. I really love the customization in this mod. I think it's definitely one of its selling points. So if you're a fan of New Vegas or that 12.7mm SMG, go ahead and pick this one up. It'll be linked down in the description below, along with every other mod in this list. Now for our next mod, we have the Thompson SMG Replacer by Antistar. Now, there is a Thompson in base Fallout 4, I know, but this one's just a bit better. The scale on the vanilla Thompson has always been a bit weird to me, especially with the fact that they used two styles of drum mags rather than a stick and a drum mag, and also there's only drum mags. The whole vanilla Thompson is just weird. So I think a lot of people, myself included, do prefer to download replacers for these things, and that's why I'm recommending the Thompson SMG Replacer by Antistar. Now, the Thompson actually does have a nice place in Fallout history, first appearing in Fallout 2, and then being brought back in the Fallout New Vegas Honest Hearts DLC, making it a nice classic weapon. And again, it even appeared in Fallout 4, although in a very, very weird format. If you want something more akin to a classic Thompson that you'd expect in a video game, the Thompson SMG Replacer by Antistar is definitely the way to go. It's going to completely replace the vanilla one and also add on some nice new custom animations, as well as a bunch of really cool attachments on top of that. And most importantly of all, compared to the vanilla version, this one includes the really nice Tommy gun foregrip that was completely missing in the base game. It's a minor thing, but I think it was important to all of us. So if you're looking for a high quality replacer for the Thompson that adds a beautiful new mesh and texture, some cool new animations, and overall just completely improves the vanilla design, I'd highly recommend this one. It's a great mod and definitely some awesome stuff by Antistar. Now, believe it or not, there's not a ton of SMGs in Fallout in general. There's only one in Fallout 1 and only 5 in Fallout 2, one in Fallout 3, and believe it or not, New Vegas is actually the one that holds the most. But for the next mod, I kind of wanted to branch out just a little bit and take an SMG from Fallout Tactics, which I know technically is not canon, but I think this weapon deserves it, and that is the Uzi, specifically the one by Fallout Miami, and this is an absolutely incredible mod made in a very lore-friendly way. I think it approaches the vanilla style of Fallout 4 very, very well, and it did appear in Fallout Tactics. Now, while not necessarily being considered canon by Bethesda, it is still a Fallout, and it did make an appearance there. It was a game you can go play in Fallout and pick up an Uzi, so I figured I might as well include it on this list. And I highly doubt that even though it never appeared in one of the mainstream games, I highly doubt that there's no Uzi in the Fallout universe. That's just silly to me. So then, the Fallout Miami version of the Uzi is absolutely incredible, featuring some really cool custom animations, a ton of lore-friendly skins, including skins for a bunch of the different vanilla factions in Fallout 4, and on top of that, some new factions from Fallout Miami that we've yet to see. In order to get your hands on this weapon, you actually have to go and follow a nice little note-based quest that will lead you to some of the characters based on Fallout Miami, and you'll eventually find a unique version of the Uzi. Once you find that, though, you will be able to find even more generic versions of the Uzi spread around the wasteland on your enemies. So that's pretty cool and a nice way to introduce the weapon to the Commonwealth. I think everybody was really excited when this mod came out, and it's still definitely a weapon that's worth having in your load order. Plus, it adds a new quest to the game, and you know there's not a whole lot in the way of quest mods on the Nexus for Fallout 4. So this is a nice little thing to help beef up the content available to you in Fallout 4. Honestly, this is just an excellent little SMG, and I think it's a nice way to round out this list. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. There aren't a ton of SMGs that I missed available in past Fallout games, but if you think there are some that should be mentioned, feel free to leave a comment, as I'm sure anybody watching this video is just looking for some more mod recommendations. Feel free to even leave comments for more lore-friendly SMGs that haven't appeared in Fallouts, but maybe they should have. I'd love to hear your thoughts. With that, though, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found at least one new mod to throw into your load order, or who knows, maybe you're already using all of these. Regardless, again, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to drop a rating. Consider subscribing if you haven't already to see more videos just like this. We do them here pretty often. For those of you who are staying to the very end, I just want to mention I will be out for a couple of days coming up, not only to work some more on the attachment pack, but also to celebrate my birthday, so there will be just a brief hiatus in terms of videos. Hopefully that doesn't inconvenience you guys too much. Before we go, big shout out to all of my patrons for supporting every single video, and of course a very special thank you to Captain Chaos, Helljumper, Indecisive Wolf, Jackie Noid, Timmy76, Cushy, Moonlit Gamer, Feed, and YouthRC for joining that tier 3 Patreon membership. If you want to support the channel through Patreon, it'll be linked down in the description below, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!